Are you still chasing your twin flame looking for answers? Does their behavior still cause you pain? We have to remember that everything we feel, every trigger we get, is an indicator of a past wound. So instead of being angry with your twin flame, be grateful to them for showing you what you need to heal. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialize in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is the thing. We're constantly blaming our twin flame for what they've done or didn't do, blaming them for the pain, blaming them for treating us badly. But this is all orchestrated. We have to remember this, right? This is not a normal connection. Before we reincarnated, we asked for this. We fucking asked for it. Do you know what? Yeah, we're sitting here getting angry about it. It was our choice. We chose this. And we chose it for a reason. We chose it to evolve. This is what the spiritual and twin flame journey is about. Evolution, inner growth, inner healing, becoming your very best self, learning to unlearn yourself or unlearn the past or unlearn who you thought you were. This is the main objective. But yet we sit here in depression, upset, anger, frustration, because we're like, I want to be loved. And like, I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a bad way. I know that that's our inner child. I know that we are craving love, but we have to this frustrates me. I do it myself, and I've done it so many times. We go into this teenage girl mode, and I mean that for both male and females. Teenage girl mode of literally sitting there pining over. We're here for a reason. We were chosen to do this inner work. We were chosen for it. You know what I mean? But like, because of our human conditioning, we sit there in victim mentality, victim mode, and it's like, oh my God, the only way that I'm ever going to feel better again is if my twin flame texts me and tells me I'm lovely. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's the only way I'm going to feel worthy. The only way you're actually ever going to feel fucking worthy is if you actually heal what's within you. Use the pain as an indicator. This is where introspection comes in. Talk to yourself. People say talking to yourself is crazy, and then they'll say they're on, oh no, it's only crazy if you talk back. Talking back is the ultimate uncraziest thing you'll ever do. You know, Carl Jung talks about it as well. It's your path to individuation. I talk to myself all the time, and I don't mean just about the dishes or whatever, or the housework. I talk to myself on a deep level. If I get emotional, I say, hey, why am I sad? Where is this coming from? What wound do I need to heal? And I would have a back and forth conversation with me and my unconscious mind, my conscious and my unconscious mind, literally to figure that shit out. Because I understand now that everything outside of me is an indicator of what's inside of me that still needs to be healed. We are being shown. We're literally being shown. And this is what triggers me. We are being shown what we need to heal. It's not like we're actually doing it. Like, this is where understanding and self-awareness comes in. Everything is a guide. Everything. Anything that upsets you, in or out of your twin flame connection, is showing you a past pain. So when I went through major anger issues, right, I kept saying to myself initially, I was like, oh, I was just inherited anger, that's the way I was born. Do you know what I mean? And then I realized, no. My anger was learned, but my anger also comes from a place of pain. Do you know what I mean? Our upset comes from a place of pain that's already within us. Like, no one can hurt you without your permission. But what am I trying to say? A person's behavior can only hurt you based on your level of wounding. So the more you heal. So for example, for me personally, years ago, my fear of rejection, my fear of abandonment was huge. And I still go through those triggers in regards to my twin flame connection. But rejection doesn't bother me anymore like it used to. Because I understand rejection is protection, but it's also a reflection of the other person's own wounds. So somebody's behavior is a reflection of their wounds. And this is another thing, right? This is a mirrored connection. And we're sitting there angry and pissed off at our twin flame for ghosting us or for blocking us or whatever. And then we're literally pissed off with this wounded person who's trying to do their own inner fucking work. And we're sending an angry energy towards them or chasing them down and giving them ultimatums and saying this, that, the other. We have to be compassionate, not just to ourselves and our own healing, but also to our twin flame. You know how painful this is. You know how hard it is to do the inner work. Don't get me wrong, it's worth it. I know I complain sometimes about the inner work, but I've said this before. I would rather do the whole spiritual awakening thing again and again and again, over and over again, than go back and live my old life. 100%. That's a fact. But, like, it is difficult to do the inner work, but you know how you feel, you know what pain comes up, you know what triggers are being shown, and this is what it is. Your twin flame reflects back to you not just how amazing you are, but also all of the flaws and all of the learned behaviors, all of the toxic traits, all of the wounds that you have gone through. But so do they. You know, and we're constantly looking outside ourselves for the answers. How do I fix this? You fix it by asking yourself, how do I fix this? You don't fix it by asking somebody, the external, the world, your twin flame, how do I fix this? The only way to fix anything is really to go within. Everything we need is within us. So, like, you know, instead of running, like, this is another thing, like, you know, people are constantly seeking outside ourselves for the answers, but that's avoidance of your own self. Do you spend time alone? Do you spend time in silence? Do you spend time actually going within to find those answers? Or are you constantly just sitting there waiting for them to come to you, or waiting for things to change? Because this is what we do. We sit here and we wait. We wait, or we chase, or we, you know what I mean? We wait and chase. We literally sit here going, everything will be fine once my twin flame chooses me. Everything will be fine when their behavior changes. But their behavior will not change unless you change first. This is the universe's way of keeping you apart. This is so important. Separation is preparation, right? But separation is orchestrated. Like, not only is your twin flame going through a lot of pain, a lot of anxiety, the same stuff you're going through, the universe is literally putting a barrier between the two of you and saying, hey, do your fucking work, or I'm not going to remove this barrier. And then this is funny as well, not so funny. This is the cycle that we go through, right? We're sitting there with this barrier between us, put there by the universe. Your twin flame does their work, you do your work, okay? But if you don't do the work and you're sitting there going, I'll wait for a text, the universe would pull down the barrier for a minute, let your twin flame contact and see what you do. And what do? The same shit you always fucking did, and you'll get the same result, which is the barrier goes back up. Do you get me? So, like, literally, it's like this trapdoor energy. It's like, woo, beep. You know, it's like literally, like, the universe will pull it down a small bit, give you a little bit of communication, and then ask you what you're going to fucking do. Then put the wall back up, and then you start getting emotional and going, I feel so unworthy because they love me and then they rejected me. No, the reason that communication came in was to show you, once again, what you've been avoiding healing. This happens over and over again. This is why the cycle keeps going around and around and around, is because literally you do the same shit you always did and expect a different result. That ain't going to work. You have to start becoming aware of the pattern. Like, you know, if your twin flame comes back in the same energy as before and you respond in the same energy as before, the barrier between you is going to go back up, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to sit there and you're going to repeat the same cycle. You're going to avoid your inner work and pine and get emotional or whatever. Literally ignore the things that you have to do. Then the barrier will come down a little bit again. And then guess what happens? The same shit over and over again will happen. And the universe will keep putting that barrier up and down and saying to you, if you don't change things, nothing will ever change. And I will keep doing this till you grow the fuck up. Like, you know, and I know I sound a bit harsh, but this is the way I had to speak to myself. You know what I mean? Like, literally, like, the only person that can change your life is you, right? And sometimes I know how hard it is. I've been on this journey. I know how fucking hard it is. I know when we're in the deepest, darkest depths of dark night of the soul. I know what that's like. And I know how kind of endless it seems, because, like, there is no light. When you're in the dark night of the soul, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But you actually have to just keep pushing yourself forward. This is it. Like, we have to be strong. We do. No one is going to save us. Your twin flame is not going to save you. Your twin flame is not going to give you the answers. All your twin flame is going to do is trigger the fuck out of you so you find your own answers. And when you find your answers, they will mirror that as well and find their own. But sitting here expecting them to fix you, or sitting here and, you know, repeating the same cycle and not listening to the advice people give you. This is the thing, like, you know, I've done so much research. I have done so much research over the last few years, and I've researched the research. I've gone over it again and again. Like, I've literally expanded my knowledge on this. And as I said, like, the way this is such a woo-woo subject in a sense, I reread stuff over and over again. Then I reread more, and I read everything and then joined the dots, because I was like, what is true here? What is real? And that's how I discovered the power of inner healing, or the power of what I had to do, was by learning, by understanding it. We keep comparing our twin flame connection to a normal 3D relationship, and this is keeping us stuck in normal 3D dynamics of codependency and unworthiness. And you can't logic your fucking way out of a spiritual connection. You just can't. You cannot logic your way out of healing. It's internal. You know what I mean? Like, literally, all of this work comes from inside you. It comes from inside you. Yes, doing the research helps. It helps you understand what you're feeling. But you have to trust that research, or you have to trust the advice you get. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're constantly, like, this happens, like, I suppose this is the hardest part of the journey, and I do understand this. The reason I researched and then re-researched the same research was because every so often you go through a spiral of, oh no, I'm crazy. This is not real. This is not real. Then reread the research. Go back over what somebody told you. Go back over those previous messages. Whatever it is, that the advice that you got or mentorship that you might have gotten, go back over that, because it's the same thing. If you're going around in a cycle, the advice is still going to be the same. You know what I mean? You have to go back and understand what you learned before. And I know, I know we have to hear things a certain amount of times before we can actually believe them, I suppose, or understand them. And that's why I re-researched everything. But also, like, even though I'd known a lot of stuff before I met my twin flame physically, and I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. I've done a spiritual awakening already. I've been through the dark nights of the soul. I'll be fine. And then the shit hit the fan again, and I had to go through it all again, and I had to re-research it again, or relearn the stuff that I'd healed, or relearn how to do it again, in a sense, because you kind of end up in a blank slate, and you're like, what do I fucking do? What do I do now? What do I do? And that's why it's so important to get support or guidance on this journey, because it's very hard to trust yourself on this journey and trust that it all comes from in here. It really does. It's like, we are beings of such knowledge and magic, and everything we're remembering, it's remembering. Like, we're literally re-remembering stuff that we already know. Our souls have a vast amount of knowledge. It's our humans that have amnesia, and that literally blocks us from understanding our truth until we're ready to understand it. And that's the thing, until we're ready. But this is where awareness comes in. Awareness of everything in your life and of yourself. Everything that triggers you. Ask that question. Where is this coming from? You know what I mean? That pain is within you. Your wounds are fucking deep. They're fucking humongous, right? And we have to heal them layer after layer. So they will come up again and again and again. But do the things that you did before that worked. If you're doing that introspection already. Are you actually doing that introspection? Are you going within? Are you spending time alone inside? Like, this is it. The best medicine, it's the hardest medicine, because I know myself, I used to hate silence. Fucking hated it. I needed to have music all the time. I needed to have people around me all the time. There had to be noise, so I didn't hear the noise in my brain. But when I started to heal, I could actually tolerate the noise, and then I was able to quieten the noise. There was about 7 different voices in my head at one stage. I'm telling you. And I don't mean that in a crazy way. I just mean there was so many, there was my shadow, there was my conscious, there was my unconscious, there was an old woman in there was a young boy in there was all these kind of weird voices in my head, and they were just kept all talking at once, and it was like, what the fuck? But when I started to calm down and started to ask these voices what they wanted, that sounds crazy. It's not crazy. But I did. Now they all disappeared. Like, I don't have any voices in my head anymore, except for me and my unconscious mind, my ego versus soul, effectively. It's like, and my ego comes in and says this shit, and I'm like, no, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? But, like, literally, it's like, we have to, like, going within, spending time in silence. To me, that's the biggest cure. It is. Like, forget tarot readings. And, meditation is obviously a miracle cure in itself. But you can't just do meditation on its own. You can't do research on its own. You have to spend time on your own in silence and ask yourself these questions. Do you know what I mean? And even if you journaling can be a good way of talking to yourself without talking to yourself out loud. Like, I'm lucky, I live on my own. My dogs might think my pets might think I'm crazy, but like, you know, I get time. I'll pause all the noise, I'll turn off the radio, I'll turn off the computer, I'll turn off everything, and I will sit there and I'll ask myself those questions. But are you giving yourself that time? That's how we therapize ourselves. That's how we learn the answers or learn what we need to heal. So instead of constantly chasing our twin flame, instead of constantly looking to them for answers, instead of constantly being angry with them, ask yourself how you're feeling, why you're feeling it. Where does it stem from? Is it your childhood? Is it your past relationship? Is it a past life? Because our wounds go back so far, and nothing your twin flame does is the cause of that wound. It just triggers it. Like, I'm only after finally overcoming my unworthiness wound. Because, like, you know, I've been on this journey for a while, and every time I was healing my inner child and I was like, I feel worthy, I did. There was a part of me that genuinely did feel worthy, but there was still a core wound within me that kept saying, yeah, but no one will ever love you and you're not good enough and all this kind of stuff. And it was only when I found my self-disgust wound underneath my unworthiness wound, fucking deeper than that shit, like, I realised I actually was able to clear it, because I realised it was connected to my childhood as well as a previous lives. So I was able to uncover that, and I was able to shift that. So now I do not feel any unworthiness whatsoever. So my twin flame's behaviour, these eclipse energies really fucked things up a little bit. Like, I don't feel unworthy, but there was stuff that went on during the eclipse seasons that it's not even over yet, that fucked me up a little bit. So, like, just understand this at the moment as well. If you're going through a little bit of a relapse or a little bit of a spiraling energy at the moment, we're in the eclipse window corridor place. So, like, it's like literally the shit's been hitting the fan for the last few weeks. So it has been harder, but like literally, like we're learning how to, if you're doing that inner work and if you are going within for the answers, you're actually learning how to navigate this a lot easier. It's not a walk in the park, but it is getting easier if you're doing the work. If you find that nothing is getting easier for you, if you're still going through that turmoil, that anxiety, that unworthiness, that chasing energy, it's like literally, I want to know why they're not contacting me. Why are they why are they behaving like this? Why are they running? If you're still in that energy, and if you keep looping back to that energy, that's a clear sign that you're not doing the right things for you. And this is the thing: the reason a pattern repeats is to literally, like, the universe is going to keep repeating a pattern. Keep repeating a pattern, keep repeating a pattern, keep repeating a pattern, keep repeating a pattern until you actually fucking listen. And what if you don't listen? It keeps fucking repeating, and it gets harder. It actually gets harder. Like, the universe, I've said this before, the universe will nudge you in the right direction. If you don't listen, the universe will push you. If you don't listen, the universe will push you harder. And the next minute, the universe pushes you off the fucking cliff, throws a hand grenade into your life and says, wake the fuck up. And that's what happens. If we don't do the inner work, it feels like every cycle is getting harder. It feels like we're getting weaker. It feels like we're depleting. We're drained, everything. And it's just like, literally, you have to start listening to yourself. Like, not even listening, just be aware. Is this repeated? Is this the same? Like, this is what happened with me and my twin flame, right? Literally everything was the same. It kept going around in circles. But why did it keep going around in circles? Because I fucking allowed it to. I was in such a desperate need to be in contact with him. And I was like, every time in contact, I was like, but I get to see him. I will disrespect, like, I wasn't consciously doing this. Like, I was like, but I was disrespecting myself. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to set boundaries. I'll get to see him. And then I kept saying to myself, life is too short not to see your twin flame. And I was like, it's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? I'll get to see him. And I kept saying, oh, every time we see each other, it'll activate more healing and everything's going to be donkey hoary and all that kind of shit. But the pattern kept repeating. And then after about a year of the repeated pattern, I finally I said some things, and I, told him I wanted to be respected and stop taking me for granted, all this kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll be better. I'll make more effort. And then I literally let my barrier down and done the same thing again. And guess what happened? For another fucking year, I kept repeating the same fucking cycle. And I nearly did it again. I was like, oh, he sounds the same as he always did, but it's okay. I'll get to see him. And then I was like, no. This is the final straw. And I finally had to pull the rug from underneath, and I just said, fuck this shit. Like, I deserve fucking better. Do you know what I mean? It was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Like, was set that boundary. But I had to break a cycle, and I had to stop allowing the cycle to continue. And the only reason I allowed the cycle to continue is because I felt like so unworthy. And I was like, oh, I'll feel good if I see him. I'll feel good if he texts me. I'll feel good if this and that's why I kept reaching out. And it didn't work. And you know, the only way I got into my proper sovereignty power, and that's funny because when I did break the cycle, I went through a massive terror moment, and I really went through my self-disgust wound energy. But I cleared it after, it took me a while, but I cleared it. And now I'm going through another terror moment, but I'm after clearing that already as well. Do you know, quicker. Like the last time it was 2 months it took me to clear the energy. This time it was less than 2 weeks. Like, just, that's the difference. I was stronger now to be able to clear the energy now because I saw the repeated pattern again. So this is the thing. Ask yourself, is this familiar? Does this feel like the same shit every single day? Is that pain still as strong as it was the last time you were in contact? Do you know what I mean? Or the last time they were around? You know, if nothing has changed since the last time there was communication, and now there's communication again and still nothing is changing, but you're feeling the same wounds again, that's a clear indicator of what you need to heal. This is your past wound being opened for you to face it so you can release it. This is like, you know, so literally asking your twin flame why they're doing this or why they're doing that or why they're doing the other or why they're not doing this or why they're not doing that or why they're not doing the other is not going to work, because it's literally, they're a wounded person as well. Like, this connection is so overwhelming. And like, if, you know, especially if you're the more awakened twin, you know what it's like to have gone through all of this over the last few years. You know what it's like to go through dark nights of the soul. You know what it's like to have your whole world shaken up and literally everything you've ever known is a complete fucking lie. The society is a fucking asshole and literally has been brainwashing us and, you know, controlling us for so long. You know what I mean? And it's like literally you go through this massive existential crisis realizing your whole world, your whole life and your whole existence was a fucking lie. And you have to navigate that on top of these overwhelming feelings of love for a person, like, you know what I mean, for this other soul. So like we had time to do this. We had time to get through, and we're still going through it. Like it was for us. It was slower because we didn't have a map, and like your twin flame doesn't really have a map either, unless they're following guidance. Do you know what I mean? Or you know, following somebody who's been through it, or you know, got a mentor or whatever. But they're going through all of this shit on top of this overwhelming soul connection. They're going through all the same triggers that you went through, but with less of direction than you did. Well, actually, no. I think we both, neither of us had direction, but I had a longer period of time to find that direction. Whereas they're going through all of that stuff in a smaller space of time and more accelerated. So instead of being angry with them and getting, you know, why are you treating me this way? Why are you ignoring me? Why are you making me feel unworthy? They're not making you feel unworthy. They're literally in pain themselves. They don't feel worthy either. And that's why they run. So be compassionate towards them, but be compassionate towards yourself as well. You know what I mean? This journey isn't easy, but it is actually, it's easier than, it's like, you know, it's hard to heal, but it's harder not to. And that's a fact. It is like, face it. Do you know, like if you want union, if you want a healthy, conscious, interdependent relationship, you need to unlearn codependency, unworthiness, your unhealthy attachment styles, your you know, your fear of rejection, your fear of abandonment. Like, you know, we have to be independent, interdependent in these relationships, in this conscious relationship. All of our past relationships were unconscious and were led by our trauma. That's why a lot of us went through narcissistic abuse, because a lot of our decisions were led by trauma. Whereas now we're leading through our healing. We're following that direction. So if you want to end up like this, I think we're so blessed. I know it's fucking hard. I know it is. I fucking know. But we're truly blessed. For the first time in generations, we're being allowed to remember. Not only are we allowed to remember the truth, we're being allowed to heal. to fucking heal. The heaviness that we carry, not just from our childhood trauma, not just from past relationships, but from past fucking lifetimes. We've been carrying such burden and weight for so fucking long. We're fucking tired. But we're getting the chance to fucking heal that. We're getting the chance to let it go. Like, I know every step up that mountain is difficult. But fuck, at least it's not the one before. I would live in a constant dark night of the soul than fucking go back to my narcissistic ex and live a life in a conditioned reality. At least in a dark night of the soul, I'm still aware and I still fucking understand shit. Like, you know, it mightn't be a good energy, but fuck me, living unconsciously with a fucking narcissistic bloody asshole was a lot fucking worse than how I'm living now. The highs are high and the lows can be low, but when you get through this, when you stop repeating the cycles, the lows don't get as low anymore. And that's what I've said already, right? We get to a stage when we stop repeating cycles, when we choose ourselves, when we empower ourselves, when we say no to them, no to our twin flame, not no to the connection, just no, I will not let you treat me this way anymore. I'm going to heal my stuff and allow you to heal your stuff. When you become that empowered, you don't go back down into that darkness anymore. When a wound comes up to heal, you bring it up to the light and you release it. So it is a lot easier. A lot easier. So it does get easier. It does get better. And we lived in a life of conditioning and a life that we wanted to escape from, okay? So for me, I was drinking, taking drugs, smoking cigarettes, whatever, eating shitty food, all that kind of stuff. I didn't care about my life. You know what I mean? Because we literally lived like, oh, we're only here to die anyway. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's how I lived. But I wanted to escape my mind, escape my reality. And now I don't need to escape my reality. I go into it. I go into my mind. I go into everything. I go into my fucking demons and I befriend them. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. So keep remembering, this journey isn't just about divine union. It's about inner union. It's about you coming back to your whole self and becoming the very best version of yourself so that you can lead the next person. We're doing this not just for ourselves, but we're doing it to change the way humanity has done relationships. This is a fact. When enough of us do this shit, we can change the dynamics. We'll no longer have these women marrying older men for protection and being abused. This is what we learned. You know what I mean? And now, you no longer have men marrying a replacement for their mothers either. This is what happened as well. Do you know what I mean? We have people consciously getting into relationships with the person they love on a soul deep level, not a person they think they should be with because mommy said so or because, the neighbors would approve. This kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Oh, my friends would judge. This kind of thing. We're getting into conscious relationships. We're doing that inner work to be able to maintain a conscious relationship. This is the whole objective of this. Yes, the relationship is the cherry on the cake, but the deep inner healing is that lovely gooey middle. Do you know when you have a brownie and there's gooey stuff in the middle? That's what the healing is, that extra little surprise in the middle. And then your little icing on top can be your I don't really like icing. More gooey stuff on top. Sorry, I'm so weird. But yeah, literally, this is what we're doing. The inner work is the reward. And then the divine union is the extra reward. But the main reward is becoming your best self, looking within for those answers and, evolving really instead of repeating. So this is it. Just become aware. If it feels like the same cycle, if it feels like the same pain, if it feels like the same wound, go within and dig it out. Go within and release it. Ask yourself where, go back to your past. This is why it's so important to understand the choices that you make today. And most of the choices we make are based on trauma from childhood or trauma from past relationships or trauma from past lives. And it's only when we reframe that, readdress it, or understand it really, is when we can finally release it. So this is what's so important. Stop chasing. Stop looking to them for the answers. The answers can only be found within you. And the answers can only be found when you do that inner work and that inner healing. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? Everything you need is right here. It's within you. And it's just a matter of understanding and being aware of that. I know this is difficult. I know it is. But the simple thing. baby steps. And why I cut baby steps up into milli steps. So milli steps, tiny little steps. Improve yourself by 1% every single day, and you're going to get so far. So just be strong for yourself. And I know how hard it is, I do. But it's literally going within, reparenting that inner child, you know, forgiving that inner teen, you know, healing your shadow, whatever you need to do. This is what we do. So just trust that process, trust yourself, trust the journey, trust your twin flame, trust that everything is happening for a reason, and trust that it's all part of the process. This is a conscious, divine, spiritual connection. This is not a 3D relationship, so stop treating it like a 3D relationship. You cannot logic your way to your answers. The answers come from within. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today. Nothing more than to help in your path. Also, I have another channel called Aligning with Angie where I share guided meditation every week. The info for that is in the description box. I also have a Healing After Narcissistic Abuse course for sale as well. The info for that is there too. And I'm hosting a Forgiving Your Teenage Self workshop, a 90-minute workshop in September 16th at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time, to heal self-judgment, shame, or anything that still lives in us from our teenage years. If you want information for that, please comment below.